Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Donald Trump has a big old budget, over $4 trillion, and I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm not happy about it. Glad you guys are here. Kevin Jackson shows what you're listening to, KJRadio.com. You listen to this show a lot, and I know you do. You're faithful listeners, and let me tell you, I have put more praise on President Trump than I probably have any president there. I've actually canonized the man. I think he's better than Reagan in many ways. But I'll tell you this: I'm not happy about a government that is spending over $4 trillion. I don't know what it'll come back to be. Now, here's what I suspect. I suspect Donald Trump is giving these guys this crazy budget so that the left will demonize it and go, "This is crazy," and then he'll say, "Well, hey, God, tell you what, cut it. Give me something, to work with." And then it'll come back. It'll settle under $4 trillion, which is still going to be bad, but it'll be a negotiation. And hopefully, he's doing this to say we're going to put the money where. Keep in mind, a big part of the federal budget he has zero control over. It's entitlements. And I'm going to tell you right now, until a president has the guts to tackle entitlements, we're toast. We have too much money that's going to people that are no longer in the workforce. And in some cases, and when I talk about entitlements, I'm not talking about Social Security. You've earned your Social Security. That's part of the insurance. But look, it's too convoluted to go into, but here's the thing. When we talk about Medicare, Medicaid, and some of these other things that we're putting into play, welfare, and so on and so forth, we can't sustain that. So we've got to address those things at some point. Now, Donald Trump is smart in the sense of saying, I don't think we can address those now. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I think this is where we're going to really get into some issues with the president. And I'll be right there, beating him up if I don't agree with these fiscal policies. The only thing that staves this stuff off is a booming economy. So let me put things in perspective, because his tax cuts and all the things that he's implemented, they do work. Understand that. They do work. And much to the chagrin of the Democrats. I'll go into his budget later. I don't want to do that right now. I really want to go into the tax cuts, because here's the thing. When people get their money back, they spend it on their own tax generating actions, meaning you'll go out and buy things that generate sales taxes, etc. You may start a business that generates taxes for corporate, etc. That's what I think is beginning to spur the economy. So, there's a lot of things that are spurring the economy, like getting rid of onerous legislation and things like this. But I'm saying what I'm about to give you news-wise is great news. What's happened under the tax plan? The federal government in January ran a surplus, and it collected record tax revenues for the month of January. Record tax years. January was the first month under the new tax law that President Trump signed in December. During January, the Treasury collected $361 billion, spent $311 billion, and had a revenue surplus of approximately $49 billion and change. I would take the rounding error because it's $236 million. But we put in the bank, so to speak, almost $50 billion. Now, that's unheard of. Now, we're still running a deficit of almost $176 billion for the fiscal year of 2018, which started in October. So October, November, December, and now January. But January, of the $176 billion, we just took roughly $50 billion off of what could have happened, because you're starting to see the effects. Now, if you take $50 billion off every month going forward, you can do the math. You're going to be at $600 billion by the end of the year, which would mean that we would at some point start to eat into the national debt. Now, interestingly, the tsunami effect of the Trump tax cuts haven't even kicked in, and you're already seeing the benefits. So you've heard me talk about it, but what are we waiting for? So let's analyze that for just a second. First of all, we're waiting on the trade policies to kick in. The man who now practices the art of the deal for America and not on behalf of his own business had the arduous task of undoing Obama and other leftist policies as it pertains to trade. And remember, this is what people were really upset about. He's not part of the TPP and he's going to do NAFTA and all this. And Trump said, I don't care what you guys think. I've watched what's happened over the years in trade, and this is now my business, and I'm going to run it the way I would run Trump Enterprises. So he's retooled trade. He went to Canada and said, we're no longer getting our lumber from you. He's not completely addressed Mexico, but he just addressed South Korea, as you guys may remember, with, I don't know exactly, but it was like washing machines and things like that. And of course the left screams, what is this consumer going to do if they got to go out and buy new washing machines? Maybe they'll get them from Whirlpool, the American manufacturer. And they go, well, they're going to pay more. No, not necessarily. There's used machines, but here's the deal. It's American business. If you got to pay $50 more for your washing machine, so be it. So be it. The overall input into the economy, it's worth that extra $50 that you pay. That's what Democrats would say. So he's shifting this over. But it was a warning bell to South Korea. And we run, I don't know, I think it's like roughly a $30 billion budget deficit, a trade deficit with South Korea. He's putting the same warning out to Japan. And, of course, China has already started to address it. Now, our trade deficit went up with China initially. No problem. No harm, no foul. He's got the Chinese working against the North Koreans and helping with Russia. So Trump is like, I'll get to them. But we have this trade looming. In other words, the 183 products that we can now sell to China, that queue is being loaded. So sometime in late 2018, 2019, you're going to start to see that trade gap with China lessen. It increased so far, but it will lessen. It increased because we have an economy that's booming, and before we could load the queue and balance that trade deficit, it was Christmas time. So we were like, come on, China, bring that stuff in. So that tsunami is waiting to occur. Then what he did was something else very brilliant. President Trump shifted the war on terror away from America and onto the rest of the world, particularly the Middle East. He returned from Saudi Arabia. You guys remember me talking about this. $350 billion arms package, largest in the history of the country. And he says to the Saudis, you are going to have to take care of yourselves. He said to the Middle East, there was another country, I can't remember who it was, Bahrain, I believe, but they bought a package of F-16s. He says, hey, we're going to give you a lot of technology. You're going to fight the war on terror. He's put the signal out to the world. We're pulling out of the war on terror. We've spent trillions of worthless dollars. That's going to go into the United States of America, our infrastructure, our veterans, our schools, whatever. And you're going to be fighting this war on your own. And the only way you're going to get into our booming economy is if you keep terrorism on the decline. Now, we'll help you. We'll bomb ISIS into submission. We'll do some other things here and there, but we're not going to be chiefly responsible. And that's huge. That's huge. Because I want you to imagine a safer world. Imagine a world where you weren't having to put in, just layers and layers of security. Don't misunderstand me. We're never going to be safe, completely safe. But if you don't have to put layers and layers of security in, and you can think about it for like one of these African countries where nobody is bothering anybody. You want to know why? Nobody's bothering some of these, little countries at Chad or whatever. They don't make anything. They don't do anything. They're jealous, and that's what makes people bother you. But if everybody's economy begins to boom, it becomes a more peaceful world. And that's what we're looking for. Look, the Muslims want to have their world over there. Fine. We'll even come visit. And we'll follow your rules. And we'll say, hey, I was over there. And hopefully you'll respect us. But we have to have a safer world. So Trump has put in all these policies that are pushing the financial burdens onto other people, including things like NATO. pushing that burden out. And then he says, what are we going to do with our money? We're going to put what it like 1.5 trillion into infrastructure. You're taking a builder who says we are going to build better roads, better bridges. We're going to build better airports. We're going to have the top technology in all of these areas, and we're not going to be wasteful about it. And oh, by the way, we're going to build a wall, and we're going to protect our borders. We're going to respect our sovereignty. So when we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about this tax cut, because the left has lamented this. Oh, you can't be cutting taxes. It's for the rich and all these other things. And the fact of the matter is this tax cut is the reason that America's economy is going to boom and has boomed.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.